Let's talk. Today we're going to talk about value. Now, I don't mean that metaphorically, and I don't mean that in terms of personal value. I'm talking about the literal value of an object, but not monetary value. We're going to talk about its value to individuals. And that's all a very convoluted introduction for me to say, for those of you who have been playing a while, what's your highest award? Peerage? Grant? Do you have several grants? Which of those grants, which one holds the highest precedence? Now let me ask you a question. How important is that scroll for that award to you? Is it something you're willing to give up? Is it something you're willing to throw away? Probably not. Probably not. Now, for a lot of you, you have things in the society that have a very high emotional significance. And a lot of those are awards. Let's be fair. An award received from the Crown is in my experience, the most common thing or theme that has significant emotional value. But I want to show you something that for the people who have it is very valuable. It is very significant, and several of them have said that it holds an immense and important emotional weight in motivating them to do more in the society. Now, this is the item in question. The camera will not pick up the details, but this picture will highlight the details for you. This is one of a run of coins that I made. Now these are sand cast medallions. I cast them in pewter, and these are 2 1/4 ounces of pewter each. This one, when you put it in someone's hand, it lands with a thump. I made them to be big, and I made them to be solid. When you give this to someone, thunk, it lands like a boat anchor. Now, you ask people who receive this, why is it important to them? And what you're going to hear them say, a lot of them will say, Ivo gave it to me, and it's because they look up to me. But it's not, if you dig deeper, it's not that I gave it to them. The fact of the matter is that I made it very clear that I am giving this piece of metal, because that's all it is. There is no monetary value to this. The total value in pewter is like $1.20 or something. The total value here for them is that I established why I was giving it to them. I told them, you are receiving this because I have seen you do good, constant, and hard work as a voice herald. That is what this coin is for. It is voice heraldry. It says on the face of the coin that the crown will always be heard, and on the back it says, for the love of the dream. And on the reverse face it says the 3 voice disciplines: sight, list, and court. And on the face it has a herald's trumpet, a trumpet with a banner on it and the letter H. This is for voice heraldry. This is for voice heraldry. And I made it very clear to the people who received it that they were receiving it because I recognized that they had done exceptional, hard, and consistent work in voice heraldry. Now, does this carry any rank? Is there any blessing from any noble or royal or anyone in the society? No. This was made by me, only by me. It has no other value to it. But yet it has an immense emotional value. Why? Because the people who accepted it accepted the social contract that says, I intend this to have value. I intend it to be valuable to you. and they accepted that social contract. They now understand this is a rare item. I only made a handful of these, and there will be no more. The master that this was cast from was destroyed. I broke it with my own hammer. It was given to them by someone they recognized as a hardworking herald. For every last one of them, it was given to them the day, if not the moment, of some outstanding heraldic work. So this is the physical representation of a thank you. And if you ask any one of them, this means, at least right now, as much to many of them as some of their early awards. And a lot of the people who receive this, they don't have a lot of later awards. So this is right up there with their AOAs and their thistles, which is our AOA for Arts and Sciences here in Onsteora, or their baronial service orders, all of which are immensely important awards, especially in your early part of your career. But this is up there. Now, why? Why is this so important to them? It doesn't carry any rank. Half of the society, half of the region, if you showed them this, they wouldn't even know what it is. It's important, again, because they accepted the social contract. This is a physical representation of a thank you for service rendered. Which, if we get right down to it, that's what almost all the awards in the SCA are. They are a physical representation of a thank you, and because they're awards that carry rank, they're a thank you in part from the Crown for the work that you do, whether that work be martial or artistic or service or, any of the other branch outs from there. Why is this important to you? Most of you don't make coins. Most of you don't want to make coins. It's fun. I happen to enjoy coin making, and I do it now, or medallion making to be specific. But why would you need to know about this? The answer is you probably don't. Most of you are probably never going to be crowned, so that doesn't apply to you. Why is that important? It's important. It's important because this has value because of the agreement between me and another person that it represents an earnest thank you. And that is something that you can do. It doesn't have to be a coin. Not all of the things I've done that were important like that were coins. At one point, I teamed up with two other people, our archery marshal, our local scribe, and myself. And there were 4 people who had done outstanding work in the very short time they'd been in the SCA, but they weren't quite at AOA level. They hadn't been in long enough, they hadn't done enough stuff to really get an AOA yet. But our local event was coming up, which meant if they didn't get an AOA now, it could be another year. And none of us were happy with the idea of any one of these people going 18 months without getting an AOA. So our archery marshal wrote a letter to each individual one of them. He wrote the words down. And then our local scribe actually hand-calligraphed all 4 letters, one to each person, with their names with their names at the top and the signature of each of us at the bottom. And then I took those 4 letters and I went back to my shop and I made custom frames for each one. And I don't mean I bought pre-made frame wood or trim at the store. I bought raw stick, I think 1x3 raw unsanded lumber at the big box store, and I sanded it and routed it and shaped it and jointed it and made 4 separate frames. And we gave those to these people. Now, the reality is that if you add all that up, okay, maybe the sum total of labor there will come up to about $40 a frame. That's a value. But the value that these people they have placed in these letters that we gave them far surpasses the dollar amount. One of them actually said, when he later posted on his Facebook feed, so I didn't have any room on my wall, so I'm trying to decide which of my certifications is getting pulled down to make room for this, because it's obviously more important, and now that warms my heart. these are things that these people will treasure for years to come, and they will look back at, and they will look at them as they hang on the walls or they sit on a bookshelf for years with fond memories. Does that have value because a crown said something? No. Does that have value because we put a huge monetary investment in it? No. It has value because we created an environment where this became the physical embodiment of, frankly, a good emotion, a thank you, a congratulations, an attaboy, however you want to frame it. So, back to the question of how does this relate to you? I really want you to think about that metric of value per a social contract. And I want you to think about that, and I want you to consider it and contemplate it and run all of the mental gymnastics in your head. And then I want you to ask yourself two questions. I want you to ask yourself, how much does that metric file into the value you place on some of your SCA kit? Do you have a pouch or a belt or a hat? Do you have a certain weapon or a basket hilt or a piece of armor? Do you have something that holds significant value along that lines because of a social contract? And I want you to recognize that first and foremost, because the next step is I want you to consider, how can you use that social contract? How can you use that metric of a physical thank you with no other value, with no crown signature, with no baronial signature, with no one else touching this? How can you use that to improve someone else's game? Can you make largesse or write a letter? Can you perform a service? Can you do a deed? Can you do anything? Can you do those things and have them have an inherently higher value to someone than just the sum total monetary value of whatever makes them up? Because if you crack that code, you figure out how to use that metric, it's not just largesse anymore. It's not just a gift. You have the power to inspire. You have the power to motivate. You have the power, most importantly, you have the power to improve someone else's game at a level that you didn't before. There's something to think about. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this one. I'll see you all at the next event. Goodbye. God bless.